Hey everybody, it's Eric the Horror Man. First off, I forgot to show off this movie in my end of the month haul that I also got throughout the month of August. I got this off of eBay, and this is actually my very first Horror Pack limited edition movie on Blu-ray, and that's Screen Test with Phyllis Rose in it, where she plays this actress that was like working for a low budget horror film until she ended up losing her vocal cords from screaming, and they decided to send her to a vacation to relax and recover. But it turns out there's a killer going around doing the same exact killing that's from her movies. So this is like a whodunit kind of thing. So it just keeps you guessing of who the killer is. This movie was actually not bad, and I thought Felissa did a good job. So, Screen Test, I definitely check. I definitely recommend checking that out. But anyway, welcome to my top 10 Tuesday. Today I'm gonna be doing something different where I'm gonna be like showing off movies I wish that you would hear at a convention for them to have panel discussions on those certain movies. Because like when you go to a convention or when you watch a panel discussion from that certain convention, they always have like same panel discussions that you hear from other popular movies that they have pretty much the same ones. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Devil's Rejects, Felissa Rose, talking about Sleepaway Camp. So these are the movies that I wish they would have panel discussions on at a convention if that certain celebrity was there to talk about it. So first is The Mutilator. This movie is not bad of a slasher 80s horror movie about where after he accidentally kills his mom with a shotgun, his father has forgiven him over the years, but then he decides to have his son close up their summer resort. But then his friends end up saying, "Hey, why not have a little fun, have a little R&R before we close the summer resort?" But once they get there, they're, they're being taken out by someone that's watching them. So the Mutilator, very fun 80s slasher horror movie. Theme song is very catchy too, called Fall Break. That's also another title for that movie as well. Next is Final Exam. This movie is really not that bad of a slasher 80s horror movie. I know some people may not like it and stuff, but it's actually not that bad of a slasher. I mean, like I said, the only thing I did not like is them not giving out any details of who the killer is, like what's his backstory of like who he is and why he's doing it. Because basically, it's where he's just going around killing college kids on our campus. So, Final Exam, really not that bad of a 80s slasher horror movie. Next is The House on Sorority Row. This is sort of like a popular 80s slasher horror movie where after a house mother ends up having a miscarriage of losing her child, the sorority sisters plan on having a party after they graduate, but the house mother decides to ban the party, decided to have them cancel it. But the sorority sisters decided to play like a prank on the house mother, but the prank ends up going wrong where she accidentally gets shot. So now they decided to cover up the house mother's body by dumping her in the pool, but someone knows what they did. So the House on Sorority Row, not not bad of a slasher 80s horror movie. Very fun. Next is The Initiation. This one's also an 80s slasher horror movie that's actually not bad to watch. Where this girl joins a fraternity, but first she has to do initiation. That's break into the mall that her father works at to steal a security guard's uniform. Once inside the mall, turns out there's a killer picking off the pledges one by one. So the initiation, Very fun slasher 80s horror movie to watch. Next is Swarty House Massacre. This movie is really not that bad of an 80s slasher horror movie. I wish this movie would get a little more love because I remember when I first saw this, I didn't care for it much, but the more I kept watching it, the more it just kind of grew on me. But this movie is really not that bad of an 80s slasher horror movie. I just wish it would get a little more love. Because basically, it's about where this girl goes to this sorority house, but there's something oddly familiar about this house because she has like amnesia and she has no memory whatsoever. Her Because it turns out that the house that she's at is the same house that her family was killed. But when her brother escapes from the mental hospital, he returns to that same sorority house to kill off that one certain family member that he did not manage to get. So, Sorority House Massacre, very fun 80s slasher horror movie. I just wish it would get a little more love. Next is The Funhouse. This one is actually a very fun 80s horror movie to watch, where teens figure it would be fun for them to spend the night inside the funhouse, but to be stalked by this thing that wears a Frankenstein mask. So, The Funhouse, very fun 80s horror movie. Next is The Burning. Yeah, this is a recognizable camp slasher 80s horror movie that I wish I would do a panel discussion on. And basically, it's about where after a prank goes wrong on Cropsey, he he's he gets sent to a hospital, but then he's like released, and then he ends up stalking counselors and campers that kill him off with a pair of gardening shears. So, The Burning, very fun camp slasher 80s horror movie to watch. Next is Pumpkinhead. This movie is definitely one of my favorites, and I've seen a couple panel discussions with Lance Henriksen in it, talking a little bit about this movie, but it would be nice if they could actually get like wherever cast members they could find to have a panel discussion talking about this movie Pumpkinhead. Because this movie is basically where after his son gets killed in an accident by tourists, he ends up going to this old witch to summon Pumpkinhead to take its revenge for him. But once he does, he ends up experiencing some visions and of what the seeing what kind of killing that Pumpkinhead is doing to these tourists. So now he has to find a way to stop Pumpkinhead from killing. So Pumpkinhead, very fun 80s horror movie to watch. Definitely one of my favorites. Next, at number 2, is Trick or Treat. I really do wish they have a panel discussion on this movie because this movie is actually one of my favorites now. Because this movie is just so much fun to watch. And again, I already described what the movie is about in my end of the month haul video. So I definitely recommend checking this movie out, and I definitely recommend listening to the soundtrack to this movie because this movie is just so much fun to watch. And number 1, the movie I wish they would have a panel discussion on to get the cast to talk about. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and that's Chopping Mall, where 3 high-tech robots are programmed to run security at a shopping mall, end up going berserk after being jolted by a lightning bolt, and then terrorize a group of teens trapped in the mall overnight. And these teens are trying to have a little party inside a mattress store, but they're being terrorized by the killbots. So Chopping Mall is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. I really wish they have like certain cast members talk about this movie in a panel discussion at a convention. and I definitely love the theme music to this movie, and I love the soundtrack to this movie as well. So that's my number one panel discussion right there. I wish they would have. All right, guys. So that's my top 10 movies I wish they would have panel discussions at a convention on these movies if they have certain celebrities to talk about them. So let me know what you guys think. If there's any movies that you liked, that you wish that they could have panel discussions on, please let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for some more videos. Later.